What if the pressure to calm down is actually one of the things that keeps anxiety going? When I was still really struggling, I kept telling myself that I had to feel calm. I believed the only way I was ever going to move past this intense anxiety was to somehow get rid of it altogether. If I could just feel calm and collected again, then I could be happy in my life. I could put this experience behind me and finally get on with things. But that attitude was actually a huge part of what was keeping me stuck. The problem wasn't that I wanted to feel better. Of course, I really did. The problem was that I had made feeling better a condition that had to be met before I could start living my life properly again. I was effectively telling myself, I'll live my life when the anxiety has really gone down. I'll do the things that matter to me when I feel calm. I'll be happy when my mind finally gives me permission to start living my life in the way that I really want to. And when we take that approach, we can end up waiting a very long time. There is a strange paradox at work here. Good feelings often begin to return when we stop demanding that they must be present right now. That doesn't mean giving up on yourself or pretending that anxiety is, not a horrible thing to have. It means letting go of the demand that you must feel calm right now, because every time you check whether you're feeling better yet or become frustrated that the anxiety is still there, you keep your attention fixed on the very thing that you're trying to escape, that thing that you're trying to get rid of. Anxiety doesn't only give you fear, it gives you a certain deadline. That is one of the most infuriating and difficult things about OCD and anxiety. The sense of urgency that they create. The mind says, as long as this feeling is here, you can't be fully happy. You can't live properly. You're going to be stuck like this forever. So you need to figure it out right now. And because that story arises with such a powerful feeling of urgency, it seems completely convincing. But urgency is a feeling. It isn't evidence. The fact that your mind is demanding an answer right now does not mean that an answer is actually needed in order for you to live your life. Feeling overwhelmed in this moment does not mean that you're incapable of dealing with what is happening. And having a difficult period does not mean that you will always feel this way. We are so much stronger than we give ourselves credit for, but you don't discover that strength by first removing every difficult emotion. You discover it by learning that you can carry those difficult emotions with you, that you don't have to get rid of them before you start living your life. Buddhist traditions often talk about awareness, and in acceptance and commitment therapy, this is sometimes called the observing self. It is the perspective from which you can actually notice what is happening to you, to notice the anxiety without being completely consumed by it. There may be a storm going on in your mind. You may feel incredibly anxious, out of control, or desperate to ruminate. But you can also notice that there's a space between those thoughts and the anxiety that you're experiencing. Your mind may be telling you that you need certainty, but you can find that space and actually make a different decision. That small shift really matters. Instead of believing I'm in danger and I have to solve this right now, we recognize that the danger is just a story that the mind is telling, and that actually you don't have to engage with it. The thoughts and emotions are still real experiences, but they are experiences that you are having. They are not the whole story of who you are, and they do not need to decide what you do next. The observing self is not another clever technique for making yourself calm, though. If you use it to kind of keep the anxiety at bay in that way, then you're really going against the whole point of it. It really just becomes another kind of form of control. The real change actually happens while the anxiety is still there. When you choose not to organize your life around trying to feel better, but instead get on with your life anyway. Intrusive thoughts and difficult stories often feel more important the more time we spend engaging with them. Each time you analyze the thought, check how you feel, seek reassurance, or try to reach complete certainty, you send a message to your brain. This matters. This may be dangerous. I need to keep on thinking about it. Really what you're trying to do is you're trying to protect yourself, but unfortunately that attempt to feel safe keeps the cycle going. So when the urge to ruminate appears, the goal is not to win an argument with your mind or produce the perfect answer. The goal is to notice the urge to ruminate without automatically obeying it. You allow yourself to feel the anxiety, to feel the fear, the urgency, without trying to figure everything out in that moment. First, acknowledge what is happening. Yes, I've been triggered. My mind doesn't like this and it wants complete certainty right now. You are not denying the thoughts or reassuring yourself that everything is definitely okay. You are simply recognizing the fact that you've been triggered and that there's a pattern here. And then step 2, tolerate the discomfort. I am allowed to feel uncomfortable today. I'm allowed to feel anxious, worried, ashamed, or uncertain. And I don't have to like this feeling, but I do have to make sure that I don't allow the feeling to dictate my actions and what I do next. And then refocus. Bring your attention back to the next thing that really matters to you, the conversation that you're having, the work right in front of you, spending time with your family, going for a run, or simply continuing with your day. You are not aggressively pushing anything away here. You're actually choosing to pay attention to the thing that you really want to pay attention to, whilst acknowledging that there's fear, there's horrible thoughts perhaps that you don't like, maybe they're here and here, but your job is to keep your attention here, to keep it focused on the things that you really want to pay attention to. When we keep on doing that over time, this becomes a new habit and it gets easier and easier to do. Of course, it can feel incredibly uncomfortable at first. The mind will say, no, this particular problem really does need to be solved. And if you leave it alone, might something awful happen? And this is where the practice really does begin. You acknowledge that voice is there, but you do not have to hand it that control. You could start by postponing for 10 minutes. Say to yourself, for the next 10 minutes, I'm not going to get involved with that old story. I'm going to allow the feelings to be here and return my attention to something that actually really matters to me. But importantly, those 10 minutes are not a deal that you're making with your anxiety. I'll leave it alone and then hopefully in 10 minutes it will be gone. They are actually a practice in not obeying the anxiety. We don't have to get rid of it. Sometimes the anxiety will come down during those 10 minutes, but sometimes it won't. But if it does remain and actually you manage to not ruminate still, then that is a real win. It may be the more valuable practice that you've done. You've shown yourself that you can experience uncertainty without immediately trying to neutralize it. And when the 10 minutes are over, you do not have to return to the problem. You can choose again what deserves your attention. And so often there are so many more important things available to us to pay attention, but we have to make sure that we direct that focus to those things. The only way to build trust in your ability to handle discomfort is through practice. Perhaps today you manage 10 minutes or so. Another day you catch the rumination a little bit earlier. On another occasion you feel the anxiety rise and still go to the event, finish the task, or stay present with someone that you really, really care about. Over time, this begins to restore something that anxiety and overthinking can really take us away from, a sense of personal power. One of the hardest things about rumination is knowing that it isn't helping and still feeling unable to do anything about it. You keep returning to the same questions again and again, searching for certainty that never really lasts. Then you feel frustrated and disappointed with yourself on top of that, and the whole thing feels so hopeless. But each time you respond differently, even for a short period, you begin to reverse all of that. You can say, the feeling came up, the old story came with it, but this time I allowed it to be there and return to my life. That is something that you can really take pride in. Eventually, this develops into a kind of quiet confidence. Not the confidence that says, I know nothing bad will never happen, or I know I'm always going to feel calm. It is the confidence that says, whatever feelings show up, you know what? I know I can deal with those things. I can feel anxious and still take the next step. We can experience happiness, connection, and meaning with some uncertainty or anxiety still there in the background. We do not have to feel good all the time in order to have a good life. Of course, we would prefer to feel calm, and there's nothing wrong with enjoying calmness when it comes up. Absolutely, you should do that, but calmness cannot be the price of admission. We need to find a way to be happy even when anxiety is there. In my experience, overcoming anxiety does not mean reaching a point where you never feel anxious again. It means anxiety no longer gets to decide whether you live your life. You can notice the storm, make room for that discomfort, and keep moving in a direction that you actually really care about. You don't need to calm down before you can start living, and you can begin living now, even with some anxiety beside you. And very often, when you stop chasing that calmness and start to reclaim your life, calmness begins to find its own way back to you anyway. So I really hope that you enjoyed that. If you are struggling, I do have a 12-week program to help you to break free. If you're interested in finding out more about that, you can by heading over to my website, robertjamescoaching.com, and booking in there for a free discovery call. Many thanks, and I'll see you next time. This video is for education only. It's not therapy or medical advice. If you're struggling, please speak with a licensed mental health professional.